All right, everybody. Hello there, and thank you for joining us here at the Lions Guide Collective. What is Lions Guide? Well, we are a growth agency for leaders, and we help you lead yourself and lead others better so that you can take on the world with more confidence with your ability to execute and lead. If you're interested in more information about what Lions Guide is and all that good stuff, which we'd love to hear from you, go out to lionsguide.com, read a little bit more, and if you see anything that you like or want to learn more, hit the contact page and let us know what you've got going on. As far as me, I'm the founder of Lions Guide, and here on the collective, I'm joined by the Lions Guide team to kind of kick off the week here for you and fill you in on all the things that we've got going on at Lions Guide this week, as well as dive into our topic of the week. So I've got Mr. Jay Tiggs, who's our Lions Guide Performance Development Director, as well as Keith Flip Griffin, who is our Leadership Development Director. And gents, welcome to the show. What's going on? What's good this week?
Hey, good morning. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Good morning.
Ready to kick this week into overdrive. Let's go.
So what's good? What do you guys got good going on?
Go ahead, Flip.
Yeah. Just banging out content, really. Honestly, that's the best thing to kind of say it is. We're taking the everyday leadership piece and we're adding some more things to our kind of our stable of leadership development courses and academia that we have, which I'm super excited to bring some new folks and some new blood in and get some different perspectives on leadership to be able to kind of help people with. And hopefully they go through one, and then when they need the change or when they want a different perspective on how to lead, then they can go into another course that we offer with us. And so with Laura Colbert and Jason Thibodeau, we've been working on those things pretty hard. So it's been pretty fun.
Yeah, it's good. It's cool to see that roadmap, right? And like the journey that we're taking leaders on as far as the philosophy of leadership around everyday leadership, building your foundations of leadership, transitioning from, leading yourself to leading others. Like it's a cool journey. But what I love about it is like our instructors are all like super, like you, right? You set this tone for this, Flip, like super passionate about what they want to share, so it's cool. That's what I love about it. So good. Jay, how about you? What's good?
Yeah, so excited about, we got the procrastination workshop webinar coming up. So really excited about that's a topic that is a leadership challenge. Whether, I know that I certainly still have challenges with procrastination from time to time. And I know that I've worked with people on my team that have struggled. So to be able to kind of dive into this topic and give some people some tools to help break that habit, pretty stoked about that. And then, got the clarity workshop this week. So we're going to deep dive into getting clear, which is, I know here at the Lions Guide, that's our north-seeking arrow. If you don't know who you are and what you want and where you're going, it's going to be you can end up climbing the wrong mountains. And so I love this particular topic and helping people find clarity. And so, and still cranking away at the E3 challenge, trying to amplify that energy. We're embarking on our going into week 3 of that one.
So what are you guys struggling with? What's going well? What are you feeling from the E3 challenge so far? Right, we're rolling into 2 solid weeks, kind of implementing whatever changes you adopted from it. Like what's going good? What are you struggling with still?
Meditate and movement for me.
Meditate and movement.
Yeah, sometimes I just end up, if I don't have time for the movement during the day because I get caught up and stuff and I don't deliberate, I try to get it towards the end of the day, but it's really, it's almost a lost cause at that point. It's really tough to be able to do. And I have a night routine with Katie that I want to spend, like we spend time together at night and stuff, but that one's really tough. And then the meditate one, I'm starting to find ways to implement it. So like I'll ice my back at the same time as I'll listen to some chakra music or something and for 20 minutes. So I'm kind of killing 2 birds, but at the same time, just trying to clear myself and just more, I focus more on breathing with it more than anything, just to calm. So, but it's working. I think it's if you looked at my thing, I went through my thing, Jay, you'd not be happy, but there's a lot of red, like big red crosses where I didn't get it. And I thought about it and I'm like, by the end of 28 days is where I want to be 3. And I started going, I want threes every single time. And I'm like, I got to work my own. I got to figure it out, right? Like I got to be able to do it. I got to know when I need to rest. Like I told you that day I came up and was really honored to come to your retirement. I'm like, I'm not working out today. I need rest. Like I have to just do nothing. So I think you can get discouraged by it when you don't see all the dots filled. And then I just figured, I was like, okay, this is a building process throughout the month to get to a certain point of what I want to be able to do. And it's not, I don't want people to be discouraged, because I think I was at first. I'm like, damn, I'm missing all my dots. And of course, Jay's posting that, oh, look, another three. And I'm like, damn, I can't live up to that standard, And I'm like, well, I'm not Jay, so cool.
I think you're exactly right. It's trying to compare yourself, you can get discouraged, right? We're on your own journey. And I think by gamifying it, people have been excited to actually track it better. Yeah. But what I think has been a revelation for a lot of people is they look back and like, wow, this is a really great scorecard for these habits that, you can see what's going well and where you need some work, and everyone is getting a bump in energy. So it's been really cool to see everyone's what they've learned from it so far.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure I said this last time about the E3 challenge, which is, I think the ingenious, I'll take that back. It is the differentiator, and what's impactful about it is your ability to increment, right? Like, to earn a level, right? 1, 2, or 3, so to speak. But like the workouts, the movement piece, like 20, 40, or 60 minutes. What that does is it's not this big, hard hurdle for the day. But for me, I know I looked at it where I go, I can only get in 20 minutes a day, and that's what I'm going to get in, as opposed to I can't get an hour in a day. And it just gives you the opportunity to stay consistent, and then like reflect and review and go, okay, well, my last week, I only got this. What could I be doing better? Like to your scorecard point, like it gives you the opportunity to grow without these barriers that like you said early on, Jay, like kick you off the ship, a couple of days in, because you can't reach these big hurdles. You got to. So yeah, that's awesome. I love this. The way this came up like 2 weeks into it is that it's a great challenge to evolve, right? Not snap the fingers and flip a switch and fail, but to evolve to being better.
Well, and James Clear talks about that in Atomic Habits, right? Some days you're going to have a jam-packed schedule, but to show up anyway and change the scope. Okay, I had the intention of going an hour, but I can only get 20 minutes in. You still showed up. And if that is even less, to maintain that habit and consistency. So for the sake of the E3 challenge, say you can only get 5 minutes in. It's better to still show up, do 5 minutes of push-ups and sit-ups, and get on with your day, as opposed to just not show up at all. So you can maintain the habit and consistency.
Yeah, no, I love it. So, that's good. And I think, other good news, man. One of the things I've been loving about the Tuesday, Wednesday sessions over the last couple of weeks as well has been like the breakthroughs and energy that have been coming through on that, man. Everyone's kind of coming in fired up. They're really just, I don't know, man. Like, how do I put this? Like they're laying it out there, and we're hitting them with some tough questions. And you see those gears start going, and then they kind of like come back, and there's like this new sense of awareness. So that's been a ton of fun. Really, it's what we're here for, but that's been awesome. But yeah, like you guys mentioned, so what's coming up this week in our performance and leadership sessions? So Tuesday afternoon, we've got a session with Jay, who's going to go through establishing clarity about who you are, how you interact with others, and really getting clear on what makes you successful. Those are really big things, and really that clarity, and why it's on the board here is like, it helps you build confidence, right? The more clarity you have about those things, who you are, how you're showing up, and what makes you successful, they're force multipliers, right? And when you have that down in front of you, and that's one of my favorite sessions. So I'm excited to see that play out this week, as well as, so Wednesday Flip has a session on how to hone your leadership. So how do you take, and again, guys, I know all the like 7 steps to great leadership and the 4 this, like, look, man, like leadership is a lot of things. And in the session we did last Wednesday, and we started getting into defining leadership, I say the group had struggles. Like we stunted the group when Flip goes, if you had to define leadership in 1 sentence, what would it be? And the whole group was like,
I don't think I've ever heard a
just like that.
session.
It
I
was
don't think
just
I've
like
ever heard a session where it was literally silent, and
it
it
was.
was who speaks first loses. So it was kind of like nobody said anything. Dale didn't say anything. I didn't say anything, and then it was like, and then you can turn that into like, there you go. Like that's
Yeah.
the reason why leadership training. And it's a great transition about why do you need it, is because it you could define it in a million different ways, as well as, you know, as not doing it at all. And that was it was a really good question.
Yeah. So now we're taking how would you define leadership as, and starting to hone your leadership, because at the end of the day, you know, it's about you as a leader, you know, and how you lead. There's no one way. There's your way. And the you know, one of the big things that we talked about was effectiveness and efficiencies and impacts, right? And we're all different. And that's the beauty of the leadership. Like our leadership will be different because of who we are and how we show up. But what matters is, are we efficient? Are we effective? Are we impactful? Are we reaching our goals? And that's where you keep turning those knobs and becoming a better leader. So if you're a leader of any capacity, meaning you're a business owner or you're executive or an entrepreneur or any other or aspiring leader, and any of that conversation, the stuff we're talking about, you know, sounds of interest to you, like I said, go out to lionsguide.com, hit contact us, and happy to fill you in on the different things that we're doing and how we might be able to help you grow in that area, you know, especially throughout your leadership journey. Your leadership journey is about growth, you know, leading yourself as well as leading others. So, and with that, you know, Flip, you know, you put out the article this week about why do I need leadership training? So tell us about that. Why do I need leadership training? Flip?
Yeah, I took a layup.
We run a leadership development company. What do you do? Why do I need leadership training?
Yeah, and I just want to first, the disclaimer was I didn't write this as a ploy or as a marketing tool. I think when and at least the way I look at leadership is a very different perspective, I think, than most people do. And that was like, you've seen, we had 20 years of war, and there's a ton of leaders that have come out of that in all in great fashion and form, and they're doing great things, and they're trying the best they can to relate some of the stuff that they learned, whether that was from the actual war zone or whether they went to the schools. And then there's a ton of other stuff out there, right? There's the Simons and there's the Dave Ramsey's and all kinds of John Maxwell's. Everybody's all got these types of stuff. And one of the things you can get overwhelmed with, I thought, was the fact that you're like, well, it's just little old me. Why do I need it? Right? Like, why do I need? I'm not any of those people. Those people are right. They're warriors and they've done all this stuff. Why though do I need it? And so what I tried to convey in the article is that, you know, leadership really benefits everybody, right? Like, so in any way, shape, or form, whoever you are, there's no bad reason, or there's no reason not that someone can't benefit from having leadership training in whatever capacity that they grab. And so what I tried to do in the article was I tried to really give I took two perspectives from it, and I'll give a little bit here, but I gave a perspective of working at a job, and I gave a perspective of being a parent. And I know that alienates people who don't have kids yet, but most people fall into one of those, if not both of those categories. And I really thought, you know, I know how I use all the books that I've read and all the stuff that I've done. I know how I use leadership training, and listen, by no means do we get it right all the time. If you guys think, even here at Lions Guide, I struggle with procrastination. I'm going to be on Jay's call because, you know, I'm working on stuff and I procrastinate on things or whatever. And so one of the things that I really wanted to point out in the very beginning is that, you know, there was 3 simple things I thought was the reason that everybody could use it. And one is that the world's changing faster than you think it was, right? And whatever you know how they say, you know, how much water do you drink? Well, you're probably wrong, and you need more than what you do. I think the world is changing faster than we believe. And whatever you think it's changing faster than that as well. Right. And so I think and I believe, and I know my brothers here do too, the future of leadership is being able to keep up with that change. And maybe not in the sense of saying we're on the cutting edge, but being able to say, okay, that just changed. How does that affect us? Can we change with it? Right. So the things that go along. The other ones is that difficult leadership challenges as a dad, as a mom, as a brother, sister, right? As a boss, as a leader, as a follower, anything are always going to come up in your life. And the need to expand, and we say this all the time, and I'm going to put it in air quotes for everybody, but that toolbox that you have, it's got to be there. Sometimes you got to be the sympathetic one. Sometimes you got to be empathetic. Sometimes you got to be the stern one. Sometimes you got to be firm, fair, whatever it is. You got to be able to change to the unique dynamics that your leadership challenge presents you, right? And so having leadership challenge in a variety of it and hearing a variety of ways to handle things are only going to help you go back into your memory banks and go, I remember how that person talked about their experience. Maybe I could use that somehow, some way. So I think that's the other one, is you got to have that toolbox. And the last one, and I've already alluded to it, but it hits every facet of your life, right? Yeah, every single facet of your life can use a bit of leadership training. And I think those are to me, those are my important, really kind of things. I want to get your two takes on all of that, and then I'll give some specific examples of what I talked about in the article.
Yeah, Jay.
Well, yeah, I mean, leadership is an influence process. We're trying to provide direction, purpose, and motivation. And and you have to tailor that to your variety of different audiences. I know at work, I use a different set of skills than I use for my children. And I love that you highlighted the kids, because oftentimes we don't think of like parenting as leadership. And I look at my 3 triplet daughters, they're all completely different. I have to apply different principles to each one of them. And the more tools that I have in my back pocket, the more I can, influence them to, take action, to give them direction and motivate them to achieve my vision or their own vision for what they have for themselves. Because sometimes we need that. Sometimes we get uninspired or we fall off track, and we need someone there to guide us to our bigger vision. And that's why I think that leadership training is never ending. I like the fact that you identified that don't become stagnant, right? And that it's a constant, you should constantly be doing something to evolve that. And that is going to give you greater influence, which is going to just, it's good for you. It's good for those that you lead and serve.
Yeah, Dale.
Yeah, I mean, I think some things I loved about the article that I highlighted, like, out of the gate, you kind of point out like a stagnant leader has the possibility of becoming worse than a new leader, right? Which means, and we see this with some clients, right? They're business owners. They've been at it for 5-10 years. And now all of a sudden the business has got 12 people. Like, they started as a solopreneur, and now the business, I like to say, is like a bronc and bull, and they're just trying to hang on. Well,
sure.
Leadership is really the solution to that. You've got to level up to control and tame that bull and to be in charge of it. And that's why I think leadership is ever evolving, and you do need a constant kind of growth mindset in this area. But that's something you said here, just personally, just affirming. I think that's one of the things that I always did, was that when I read these books about leadership and management, whatever, I didn't read it from sitting at my desk in the office, like, from that perspective. I read it as the whole, like, these concepts and principles not only apply to how I lead my team, but they also apply to how I lead myself, how I lead my family, how I coach on the football field. Like, it's the force, right? It's everywhere. It's like, it's me learning the force, like how to lead and how it applies to every aspect of what I do. And I think that's just something I've benefited from, like in leadership training or growth, just kind of recognizing that it's in everything you do. Like Jay said, it's a tool of influence, right? And your leadership, like, flips good, bad, or toxic. How you're showing up is going to have some manner of influence, which is good, bad, or toxic.
Right.
no matter where you're showing up at the dinner table or showing up at the team meeting on Monday, how you show up is going to be good, bad, or toxic. And that's leadership.
Yeah. And you guys both pointed out a word that I actually highlighted and wanted to bring up. And it was a point in the beginning, but the word stagnant. I want people to understand that there's a difference between learning something new, applying it, see how it works out, changing that, and consistently. And I look at it more as plateau, right? So I could plateau, and that's fine. I'm actually okay with plateau. George Carlin had a great quote a long time ago that said, America always has to be doing the next level. It is okay. And Powell said this times in his book. Look, it's okay to stay at a certain level and stay at that level for a little while because you need it, right? You're gonna learn experiences at that level, right? Your kid isn't born and then goes to college. There's a whole thing in there between that you have to kind of go. So the difference between plateauing and being stagnant, where you're almost digressing, where it's a digression, that is a very different thing. So I want to make that clear in that you could stay at a certain level because you may need it. Personally, you may have things going on where you can't take on more stuff, and that's okay. And that's leadership, by the way, by being able to say something like that. And that leads into kind of where I took my two examples that I really took. One was from the workplace, right? And you may say, I'm not in charge. And you may say, that's not my, I follow somebody else. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, hands off, that you understand by you taking leadership training and you becoming better, it doesn't mean that you necessarily want that job or you need to go get that job. I think that's a fallacy that too many times that we look upon sometimes as leaders and go, well, why don't you want more? It's okay that people don't want more. Some people are very happy where they are. They love doing what they're doing. I think that I learned that a long time ago that's there. And I worked in an up and out organization, and that was the Navy, where if you weren't moving up, you were out. And that's not always the case. And it's not necessarily the right thing to do either. And so I want people to understand, if you take leadership training, what perspective it gives you is it gives you your leaders, if you're a follower, it gives you your leaders what they're going through, right? So now you can have the answers for them to help them, right? That's leading up. And I think that's such a positive thing for someone to do, and saying, I may not want that job. I may not want to be the boss. I may not want to be in charge. People are like that all the time. Great. But you understanding, as me in charge, what I'm going through and what I need, and feeling it more, you get now perspective into where I am. And I'm telling you, for a leader to have their followers understand what they're going through and what they need, man, that is invaluable, absolutely invaluable to be able to get to. And I'd love to hear your thoughts, both you two, on that before we go into the parenting side.
I like what the second line in this, isn't what I get at my current job enough? Like just my day to day, I'm leading my teams on a day. Isn't that enough? Yeah. And I've had conversations with business leaders, inviting them to coaching or a session. I just don't have time. I don't have time because I am doing X, Y, and Z. I've got these leadership challenges at work. So what advice would you give someone that says, I don't have time, and that isn't, what I'm currently doing enough?
Yeah. So you're asking me personally, it's not rhetorical, obviously. So
yeah.
I think you may not have, understand all of this. Your free time may be something that you want to go and you want to just get away and not focus on that, right? Go read a fantasy novel or go watch, right? That's not, there are times for that you do need to go away, and you Lead Yourself First is a great book about that, to saying just go and get away from it all. However, what I will tell you is that there are little bits and things and pieces that you can do that aren't time consuming, that have direct value to what you're bringing to a job by just understanding, right? You going and finding out more and asking a question about, hey, what do you do, or what are you looking for more, right? That's leading up in my eyes. Is that specific to leadership training where you're going to learn a little bit more about those things? No, but here's the thing. You could take leadership training, right? If you wanted to, and you can say to yourself, hey, maybe those don't apply to me. But again, I understand now what the people that I'm responsible to are looking for and need, and what's being asked of them, right? Because that's the other side of this. If you understand what the CEO is looking for in his middle managers, and you're the newest employee, and I know we're stretching it here, but if you can understand some of that, you want to, what's the number one thing we've always talked about is the number one, it always needs to be worked on. It's communication. But if you just have an understanding of that more through leadership training of what expectations are being there of the people that are, man, that communication is so much easier, right? It's facilitated so much, better by doing just getting that insight. Is it right? Is it wrong? You don't know. You got to go ask that question for specifics, but you at least have a little bit there to say, oh, that's not taking up a lot of time for me to go and to find that little piece. And that's kind of doing your own leadership training, but in this sense saying, yeah, but these are just your tools and you can apply them how you need to. Yeah. I like that. That's a good question.
Yeah. And this also came up in last week's leadership session, which was, we talked about what makes a good follower, to your point about your leader's going to need you. Like, even though you're following someone else, they're going to need you to lead at some point. And I'm gonna paraphrase how this came up, and we were kind of discussing this. What is a good follower? And the way I took it down that day, and even to kind of reiterate now, it's like, what is a good follower was the ability to kind of take someone who has the ability to take direction, but also has the ability to function without it, right? And that's still the essence of leadership, the ability to execute without direction, right? To lead yourself or lead the situation, or really to take charge, right? Like, because what happens if you don't? Like, sure, you've got a boss and your boss gives you X, Y, Z, and now they're unavailable for the day and there's gaps. So what's the best thing you can do? Freaking lead, man. Like, take charge and go. Like,
figure it out.
Yeah. Initiative.
Yeah.
And I think and you guys have all heard this, and we did last week in our in our sessions of one of the biggest problems that employers and CEOs, founders are having is people are coming and doing what they're expected to do per the book. And they're not that initiative that just go Google it, figure it out. I need that drive in you. In my eyes anyways, what leadership really helps you do is that if you have a boss that empowers you and says, run with it, it gives you the freedom, right? And it gives you the freedom without worrying about repercussions of saying, I'm going to go figure it out. I'm going to go try to figure this thing out on our own. And this will lead into the second half, which was being a parent, right? And I'm not alienating. I tried to, in the article, not to alienate anybody who didn't have kids yet, doesn't choose to have kids or whatever. But listen, every single grade, every single year that you have a son or a daughter is a new challenge. They're learning something new. There's outside forces that are affecting them that you don't see as happening. They're bringing those to you. They may or may not want to share those things with you because of the of the love that they have for you and the respect that they have for you. And I think that's thing. So what I wanted to say here, and I use it I have two daughters, I cannot apply leadership principles word for word verbatim that we take away to her. But what I can do is I can take those concepts, I can mold them into her 16 and 14-year-old mind and say, what about? And I think what you end up finding, and you can do the same thing with your marriage and whatever, is you can understand what it takes when you need to step up, when you need to back off, when you need to do whatever. I likened it, and I actually, I'll pat myself, I'll give myself a little toot here, but I was like, a new boyfriend is a new client, right? Like right? So you got to look at it that way of what it's going to do. And, you're always weary of a new client about how they're going to be. You don't know what their intentions are going to be, how they want you to do. So you can liken it like that. There are a lot of relatability factors to leadership training. And I just think, again, it expands your toolbox for me as a father, and for anyone else listening, whatever you are in that family sense. And look, it could be you taking care of your mom or your dad who's older too, right? They have needs a lot like your children do, where you have to kind of, you have to adapt and change and figure it out about how you're going to do that. And that's family, right? There's no better thing that you have to kind of help with in family. So
Yeah, man. Well, yeah, no, you'll get a big kudos from me. A great article, great, just kind of like, hey, like keep growing, and that's what we're here for. So if you can get out there and check out that article, it's on all the socials. And if you can't find it anywhere else, get on lionsguide.com. We got our blog out there. It's out there as well. So and like I said, if you got value out of that, either this conversation or the article or anything else we do, and you think we could help you more, give us a call, get on the website, reach out, and or if nothing else, give us your feedback. What do you think? Like, where does this fit in your life, in your work, in your family? And let us know what you think. And other than that, thanks for being with us today, gents. Thank you guys. Thanks for all you do and what you're doing. And thank you for continuing to serve our leaders out there. So thanks to the rest of everyone else for being here today. And we'll see you next time. Thank you.